All right, welcome to another episode of Aussies taking over the NBA. Today we have our final half season player review. The Dallas Mavericks and Ryan Broekhoff, the swingman who made his way from Europe to the Dallas Mavericks via a contract guaranteed deal. Sharpshooter, shot really well in the European League. I think it was a Russian league. He was with the Locomotive. Hasn't really had a lot of game time this season. A little bit of ups and downs. Maybe a bit disappointing. I guess not necessarily his performances.
I just think that it's not the system for him. He would be perfect in a volume system.
Yeah.
And Dallas is not that volume system. They don't want to shoot threes. They don't want to do it.
Yeah, they want to kind of shoot threes off the dribble, and they've got a couple of isolation players that don't really have that dedicated singular guy. Obviously, they have Doncic and they have Dennis Smith Jr., but that's kind of a tug of war between two guys who want the ball.
Dennis Smith is gone.
You have it? No, I have it. Oh, he's left.
Yeah, well, he's not gone, but he's no longer traveling with the team.
Oh,
so
wow, that's pretty hardcore.
So
I think he's on the chopping block.
Yeah, he is. I believe that there could potentially be a trade on the cards for Tim Hardaway Jr. and Frank Nicolita.
Ntilikina?
Don't even bother. Ntilikina or something like that.
Ntilikina, yeah, something like that. So, of course, that'll be interesting. We'll discuss some of that. Like, share, and subscribe on YouTube and on hashtag The Collectives Podcast Network on SoundCloud and iTunes. Give some feedback, like, share, subscribe, comment. Let us know what you're thinking about our content, because we are going to keep bringing you more and more content in the lead up to the All-Star game, which is in mid to late February. This is obviously the last of our season reviews, being the Dallas game. We've gone through all of the other ones. You can also find our Ryan Broekhoff Signs a Contract podcast back then when we discussed how he would fit in the team, and some other content when we did the over and under. We talked about Dallas as well. So let's get into it. Dallas as a team, been pretty disappointing this season.
Yeah, look, they went for a bit of a stretch there, didn't they? They had, I mean, they've been an absolute turd road team.
Yeah, awful.
I think worst in the league. They had a good stretch at home, but we've probably found the rookie of the year in Luka Doncic quite easily, I would say. I think followed by not close, but a not too distant second in Trae Young.
You reckon Trae Young?
Yeah, I mean, look at his stats. His dishing is pretty good. He hasn't fulfilled his point scoring ability that they kind of hoped for in college, being that Steph Curry clone, but I think his facilitation's good enough, and he's taken Atlanta to the promised land in a few wins, more than what we thought they would get. So not doing too bad, but yeah, Dallas kind of an eclectic group of people.
I guess there wasn't really expectations on them this season.
No, they're in that rebuild phase. We know that.
It's kind of half and half. I'm not sure whether they knew what they were really getting with Doncic. In terms of, if you look at Atlanta's team when they drafted Doncic for the draft and trade and all that stuff that happened, like for Atlanta, that wouldn't have made their franchise, if you know what I mean. Like, you couldn't have gone, Luka Doncic is the guy that I want to take this franchise forward.
Yeah.
For both teams, like even for Dallas, it didn't feel like Dallas is going all in on this guy. We've basically set the entire franchise up just so this guy comes in and we have him for 10 years and he runs our team for the next 10 years. It still feels like it's a mess of a team.
Yeah.
That they've just kind of lucked out on. Not necessarily lucked out, but they've just gone, we'll draft this guy and now we're going to start molding our franchise around him.
Yeah.
So there's still some problems there. If you look down their roster, they've obviously... Wesley Matthews and JJ Barea, older sort of veteran style guys, and then you've got Harrison Barnes, isolation scorer. They've got DeAndre Jordan for 1 year, whether they re-sign him, and then Dirk Nowitzki.
Bit of a farewell tour for Dirk.
Yeah, a bit of a see the NBA later and collect that check for the last season. Fantastic player. He's been an unbelievable player and servant.
I think they realise that they're not going to probably win the league this year, and it's like Miami. They're having a bit of a season farewell. I think, although Dwayne Wade's a little bit of a better player in his older age than Dirk.
Yeah, can contribute more.
Oh yeah, he's contributing game winners still at 37. So
and what's Dirk? He's 41 now.
41.
Yeah, that's crazy. I'm watching, like, he still shoot the ball, but movement wise,
I have to say, how good a year is Vince Carter having?
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Is he older than Dirk?
Yes, he is.
Yeah, far out.
The
Vince
dude's
Carter.
still dunking.
That's crazy, man.
And
At
Dirk
40,
is just
41.
injured. Too many injuries.
But I mean, he's a 7-footer. What's Vince Carter? I think Vince Carter's 6'7".
6'7".
I'm going to just Google that just to make sure.
So we can go over kind of the Ryan Broekhoff effect that has been a non-effect, I would say. He's played
6'6".
Yeah, 6'6".
Yeah.
So
yeah, Ryan Broekhoff, what do you think?
I just don't think he fits the team. They thought, all right, let's get a 3-point shooter in for next to nothing, because literally he's next to nothing. They just haven't really used him and utilized him in any way, shape, or form. And when they did use him and utilize him in the game against Philly, he scored 15 points and looked not too bad. So I don't know what they thought they were getting out of him other than a knockdown. He played some nice pick and roll with DeAndre Jordan, had some 3-5, 3-4 pick and roll.
And it
looked cleaver.
It looked oddly out of place. Like it went, and even obviously we'll talk about DeAndre Jordan a little bit later in when we talk about everything, but it looked like DeAndre Jordan was like, oh yeah, I could still do this. Like, yeah, cool. Like we'll run some of this. Whereas when sort of Doncic is handling the ball, it's all about Luka Doncic, and that's not necessarily a detriment or a bad thing. But even like the expectation of what Ryan Broekhoff can give is like it has to be managed in that situation. In this situation, like you and I can sit here and go, why isn't he shooting threes? Like he's a great 3-point shooter, but I think he can do more than that.
Yeah.
Like in general, I think if he was maybe a 3rd or 4th year NBA player and he had moved to the Mavericks, like he'd be doing more. He'd be playing 20 minutes a game. Like I think he's a better player than what they're using. Obviously, there's some weirdities to their roster. I mean, if you look at Harrison Barnes playing small forward, and then trying to squeeze Dirk Nowitzki in
for a bit of like 7-minute show and tell. It doesn't.
And randomly eating. And then obviously, like you and I talked about Maxi Kleber at the start of the season. Like he'll be a guy that they're really gonna use as a size guy. And they went to him a lot at the start of the season. Dwight Powell playing a lot of power forward as a kind of hustle guy. Like it just there's a roster crunch thing in there as well as I'm not sure how they using their roster properly, coaching wise in there. And at the same time, you know, Ryan Broekhoff at the start of the season didn't really knock down shots. Like I think he was shooting at about 20%.
Yeah, I mean,
early on.
Yeah, it was probably a bit of jittery nerves. You're like, right, you got 1 minute to do something.
It was garbage time, really.
Yeah.
And how are you meant to go out there, give me 7 minutes of hustle, knock down maybe 2 or 4, 2 or 5, and then that'll build on your minutes? It kind of like, it didn't matter.
It didn't matter, yeah.
He wasn't knocking down shots, but he only got garbage time. He wasn't knocking down shots, but he only got garbage time. Then he knocked down some shots, and then it was like the same garbage time. Then he had that great game, and disappeared again. And it's like, hang on, he had a great game. Like, let's put him into the roster. Like, he didn't just knock down shots. He facilitated. He got to the rim, played defensively really well, rebounded well. I thought in that game, it was like almost a 2K style effect where you as a player know how to play the game and do things in the game, and then they suddenly start picking you when he showed like so much more. And it was an enlightening moment, and then he just disappeared again. And it's like, what are you doing, Rick Carlisle? Like, I don't understand what's going on.
Understands.
But Dallas as a team in general, obviously, they are 19th in offensive rating and then 13th in defensive rating. So the defense is not too bad. I think a lot of that's propped up by DeAndre Jordan's rim protection.
Yeah.
They've rotated Maxi Kleber in there well as a power forward. And Dennis, Dwight Powell. I like Dwight Powell as a hustle guy. Dorian Finney-Smith's been playing pretty well. And then Harrison Barnes coming back from that injury has, on both ends, been a little bit sort of good in patches. Not great in other patches. And then I think Brunson off the bench has given them some good minutes. If you look, it doesn't feel like what their team is capable of and can achieve is happening, but there's no urgency. Like
I think in the East they go a bit better. I think there's just too much logjam in the West, and it's really hindering what they do. But in saying that, they're not winning to Eastern teams either. They're just They're kind of just chunking at random times. I think the Luka Doncic effect is you need to then just set up all players around him.
Pretty much, yeah.
You're like, okay, what is he? Is he a Harden style player? No, he's not really. He's a bit of an ISO ball, but he's not going to give you the volume of Harden, right? So he's kind of that all around point forward who can space the floor a little bit, but really develops his own shot off the dribble. Okay, right. So what do we need? We probably need an elbow center because I don't think you're going to get a lot of dishing off to DeAndre Jordan. And, he's averaging 11 points per game. That isn't enough for your full-time center in the modern game to win a championship. Yeah. Unless you have so many other pieces around you, which they don't. Harrison Barnes is having a good season. All the other guys are kind of averaging 5 to 6 to 7 points a game. They haven't got that high-volume scorer that they need. Luka Doncic will be that, but then you also need the 5 spot who can bang down low and give a bit of an elbow. I would actually like Marc Gasol to come here and develop an elbow game because then you have pieces around that can play in the mid-range and he can spread the floor as a 5. I think DeAndre Jordan was a nice experiment, but that big man is dead in this game. It's, his stats are up, blocks are down, assists are up, rebounds are up. But again, you're going to get that out of a Pau Gasol. Marc Gasol, sorry.
Not Pau Gasol, yeah.
No, he needs to retire. So backup guard in JJ Barea gives you good offense, but then, gets a little bit exploited on the defense because he's undersized, not the smartest defender in the world. And then the scoring volume just kind of fades away. And I think the Dennis Smith Jr. we saw in the preseason has just died, and they've finally given up on him. And I think they thought he would be that volume guy, and Luka Doncic would come in the 4 spot and be that kind of extra guy, the floor spacing guy, the guy that can knock down threes but have a bit of a post game, smart Euro player. But Dennis Smith Jr. has really not done much.
He got I think he got an injury at the start of the season as well. But like you're saying, I still don't think they really knew how good Luka Doncic would be.
No.
It feels like they already had that player in Harrison Barnes, and they already had the team set up of how they wanted to play, and then suddenly Luka Doncic, what is he, 6'8", a power forward that can handle the ball and basically play that freak point guard. Like, you have to do what the Bucks did basically and just go, all right, just get rid of all these guys and just play shooters around him. Whereas Rick Carlisle's kind of still stuck in, and we got to play defense and run conventional point as well and do this and that. And Doncic, when he drives, he rarely looks to kind of give the ball to DeAndre Jordan. He's more a scorer. Like, he's a guy that gets to the rim and scores. That's where, like, man, how good would Broekhoff have been for the Bucks? Like,
I know, perfect. Or even
for
Houston.
Him. Yeah, even Houston. Knocking down shots.
Plays that style of game where it's just gimmicky. Perfect guy you can just have sit in the corner all day, give you a little bit of two-way defense. Or, I think it would have worked at the Bucks better because you got the freak in the middle just defending everything.
I still feel like we're underrating Broekhoff, but when you say that, like, he showed, in my opinion, that he's more than a knockdown shooter.
Yes.
Like, in that Philly game, it was a light bulb game where you went, oh, wow, this guy can facilitate. He can rebound. He can find players and hustle, and he has a high IQ. Let's see more of this. And then he just disappeared. Like, I don't think we've seen him. I don't think he played any minutes apart from garbage time after that.
It's just like, I'm rewarding you with your best game by sitting you on the bench.
And even that game as well was like, okay, he has only played garbage time in the last month.
And now we're going to give him
suddenly gets 4 minutes at the end of the first and then 6 minutes in the second quarter. And you're like, where did this come from? Like, when you were telling me about, like, you texted me about him, I expected to look at the game and go, oh, he's just played garbage time. He came out and knocked down some shots. But he was playing, like, proper minutes in this team. And as a coach, like, I don't know why you just kind of went away from that. That was kind of a bit strange, in my opinion. It's just one of those sort of weird situations. I think he's a lot better than, we've seen. Like, we've had the team allow him to be. But again, it goes back to that Doncic effect where there may be 2 years or 3 years with Doncic away from having that great team where, you've brought in Doncic, you've cleared off the roster to just have catch and shoot guys that can all switch. You can have that one center that's kind of all round and can stretch the floor and shoot threes. Like, they're not even anywhere close to setting that sort of team up. But then if you're going to do that, you got to get rid of Rick Carlisle because there's no way Rick Carlisle's
ever going to coach like that. Yeah.
But we'll read out some of Broekhoff's stats. Obviously, he has played 18 games this season. He's averaging 6.2 minutes per game, only 2.4 points per game, 0.4 assists, and then 0.8 rebounds. He can rebound the ball, man. He's listed as a shooting guard, but I think he's probably more of a small forward. He doesn't have the thickness and the girth to play probably an athletic small forward in the NBA. But at the same time, he's got the skills and the ability. He's only shooting the three ball at 31%. He was obviously shooting the three ball at 50%, I think, or 49% for Locomotive. So you'd look at that and go, wow, he's not translating those numbers at all. But
3-point line is a bit closer.
Yeah, and
in the
garbage time, and you don't really have a team that's creating really good 3-point looks for you as well. He's shooting 2 points per game, and all of these numbers are basically garbage time numbers where it's like, yeah, but what is this sample size? What is this type of sample? It's just messy shit, really. Like the one game he was really good where you went, oh, great. He didn't play again after that. So he's taken 2 free throws and knocked them both down, which is good. He fits a team, an NBA team.
He does. I think he's NBA quality. It's just whether we get to see him have the chance. But you know what's exciting for the Aussies, because I think come World Cup, we're just adding pieces to the puzzle. Deng getting signed by the Cavs, actually playing some minutes, although they are garbage time. It's good to see him, man. He was undrafted G League. Look how many second round picks haven't even started in the NBA, and yet he gets his start in the G League and makes his way to.
Yep.
And I think Deng would fit better in this lineup.
Yeah, he's a more versatile kind of athletic, explosive guy. But then it's the same conundrum where is the space for another guy to plug in there? Like you're trying to give Dirk minutes, you're trying to give Barnes 15 looks a game.
You got to say goodbye to a few of these guys. I mean, I think once Dirk retires,
JJ Barea is giving them some good minutes off the bench, but even he's like a veteran guy that. It's not an important part of this team. It's mainly still, I think, driven by nobody thought Luka Doncic would be this good.
Yes.
Because if you knew Luka Doncic was going to be this good and you were changing your roster, you would have moved some of these guys already.
This is funny because this fits a Trae Young roster, a guy who just shoots from the outside.
Yeah.
And facilitates. Anyway.
So they have to. They're probably 2 or 3 years away from retooling their roster in a way that's going to just be, all right, just give Luka the ball, let him go to work, everyone get out of his way, or, you know, you're going to shoot threes. That's about it.
Yeah.
Which maybe that's the kind of roster that Broekhoff would have had an impact on. But still, man, I can't say it enough. That Philly game, man, made me go, wow, this guy's really good.
This guy can actually play some ball. Can play some ball. All right, shall we go to rating?
Yeah, rating some of this team.
Let's go start with Brokey.
Broekhoff himself. What's your rating?
For the season he's having, it's a C because we haven't seen much. For the game he had against Philly, it's definitely a C+. Saw some things I liked. I'd like to see more of that. And once we kind of see more of that, then, you know, it goes into the Bs, because I think he can be, a good small forward in some team. It's just what team will give him the start. Will he be a trade piece next year potentially to add to something that they want to get rid of? Who knows?
Yeah, I had a C. What did I have? A C minus. I think if he had have really knocked down shots early on, like if maybe he was shooting 50% from 3 from the garbage time looks, maybe he would have got more. But I still think that's harsh, man. That's such a terrible way to rate a guy.
Yeah.
But then when you look at what he did in that Philly game, it changes your complexion completely because it's one game and it's different things that he did, and it's obvious parts of his game that you could see would translate. So it's a different type of thought process that goes into that. Like, it's not a statistical analysis where you're looking at what this guy can do. But I still think their roster in general isn't tooled properly for a guy like Broekhoff. Once you factor in Doncic and then DeAndre and then Kleber, who is getting minutes because he can do more versatile things at the 4-5 and help out with Powell and stuff like that. Whereas the hustle they want from a guy like Broekhoff, he doesn't have that athletic peak yet. Or he doesn't have like the tools athletically to be a beast and do some of the things they'd want at the small forward and the shooting guard position because of Doncic, basically. So, but obviously you're going all in on Doncic anyway, no matter what. I just went C minus. I think if he can sort of raise his 3-point percentage, I think he played yesterday against Indiana and he, 0 of 2 in garbage time from 3. It's not helping his cause.
No.
I think he's a better player than that. But
Yeah.
I love him as a player, man, and I want to see more of him, but I just don't think we're going to. In a team like this, it's just the roster's not tooled right. It just, I don't think he wants... Rick Carlisle wants to play that type of basketball, and it's just Luka. We're on the Luka train. Start clearing the decks, and we're going to be on the Luka train for the next 5-10 years, and that's how we're going to retool this roster. All right, so we go on to some other players to be rated.
Yeah, let's get on to my man, DeAndre Jordan.
Yeah.
B-.
B-? Yeah. I'm going to go B. Nah, B- as well. We didn't expand on that. Like, does it look like he doesn't give a shit?
Yeah,
to
it's
like,
a $20 million paycheck. It's kind of like, when they were on a roll, it looks like he was playing hard. Now that they've started to lose, it's just like, I'm not back next year. I'm just playing to keep my body in order and collect my $20 million.
It's so weird, to be honest. Like, he's got a chance to now play with Doncic for the next 6 years.
Yeah.
Minimum. Well, sorry, max 6 years. So 3 or 4 minimum. He signs a 3-year. That's actually, I think his salary is going to be pretty big. It'll probably be 4 years, $100 million.
He's just not worth $100 million. Not in the modern game.
Not in this game. And his assists have gone up a little bit. He has shown he can pass the ball, but without any kind of shot, it takes away his effectiveness. But at the same time, he just looks like he doesn't care as well. And that's a worry as well, man. That's a real worry where he has something to rebuild his career now. Like, if he was to snag a contract on this roster and stay on this roster, even if he offers a limited amount of service to this team in general, with Luka coming on board and then rejigging the roster, you'd still want to try and get out. Like, you're out of the Clippers fire now.
Yeah.
Like, he got away from the Clippers and all that rubbish. And now it's like, you've got something to build here, mate. And you're just looking at him and you're going, but this is the same shit as last year. Like, what
same
is
shit,
this?
different day.
So I'd be a bit worried with that, man. I'd be sort of, if I was Mark Cuban, I'd be thinking, I don't think I really want. But they chased him for ages. They wanted him for ages, and now it's like they got him, and it's like, you're not even gonna you don't even care. Like,
no,
what's up with that?
it's just like, I
It's
don't know.
bizarre, man.
Maybe he knows something we don't. But anyway,
Yeah. All right, Harrison Barnes.
Look, A-, good player. You'd have him in any team. Can create his own shot in the dribble. Shooting a good clip too.
Yeah.
From 3. Currently 39.2%. That's above NBA average. Averaging 18 points per game. He's just a scorer. Just a pure scorer. A little bit lacking two-way, I think. Could probably work on his defense a bit. But A-.
So I had B+. I don't think I think he's probably going to be the first one that's kind of shunted aside, especially on the deal that he's on. I think he's, in terms of the way he fits with Luka Doncic, doesn't work.
Doesn't work. But as an individual player,
and like, that's not to say like having 2 volume guys taking 15 shots a night. Sometimes that does work, and that in a sense you've got to fit with your team. But I just don't think, like, Barnes just doesn't have that array of two-way talent that Luka does, in a sense that eventually you're going to see it look like it's encroaching on Doncic. Like, just give him the ball. Like, just give Doncic the ball. A couple of times that happened this season with Dennis Smith Jr., where you just give Luka the ball. Like, stop trying to... Like, we know you want to stamp your authority, because that's one of the main parts of playing basketball is stamping your authority, but just give it to Luka. Like, I think in the next few years, you're going to see a lot of just, get out of the way. It's Luka time, guys. Luka time. So I guess we should do Luka Doncic.
I don't think he's an A+ quite yet.
Nah.
But he's not far from it. He will be an all-star this year, probably the first since Blake Griffin to go in his rookie season.
Yeah?
Yep.
I think he will be too.
Yeah.
Should we do some predictions for All-Star? Like, I don't know if I
No,
care
it's
that
a bit
much.
gimmicky. It's like the public vote. Dwayne Wade's going to be a fucking guard. It's just like, but he's not. It's just,
And then I hope Ben Simmons. That's all I care about. I want Ben Simmons to make it.
He should make it, but whether he does, I don't know. He's kind of hated outside of Philly.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, eh?
Yeah, it's weird. It doesn't shoot threes as shit. Yeah, good one, buddy.
Yeah, right, mate.
Yeah. So A for Luka.
both of us,
He's definitely.
It's been great. He's been fantastic to watch this season, man. It's really stunning, some of the things he does.
Yeah.
And it coming from a a non-explosive athletic background too, where
Just crafty Euro.
that's.
He's only 19. Like, we've
I
got to
know.
take a step back here. And he's 19. His body's not fully grown yet.
But I think, as a general stereotype, NBA fans want, whoa, that's a big dunk. Wow, he smoked that guy off the dribble and punched it home. How great's that? Like, whereas Doncic is like an array of like, oh, he shot that on the way down after taking contact, and he stopped, popped, and waited, and then shot a layup over a guy. Like, I think people are going to start appreciating the level that his game is at, that doesn't rely on just super explosiveness. I think a lot of people went, oh, he looks a bit doughy. He doesn't look very athletic. Like, but once he started pulling out all these moves, I think people have gone, holy fuck, this guy's crafty. Like, this guy's a fucking unbelievable finisher.
It's like Jokic.
Yeah, same thing. Yeah,
Right.
I think it takes the stereotypical NBA fan a few seasons to really appreciate the craft of players that doesn't come from out of that athletic spectrum. Dennis Smith.
Well, we can give him a C.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's on his way out. As an individual, I think he'd do well on the Knicks, tanking team, running the team. Just have his way with whatever he wants to do.
Yeah.
Grow as a point guard. Maybe in 4 years, when he gets a bit of a better shoulders on him, grows as a player, then he will be more suited to a better franchise. But I think now he will just be a tanking point guard.
Where's Matthews?
Little bit undersized forward sometimes. I think it's just, good 3-point clip, good volume, decent enough player, decent enough role player. B-.
Yeah, I think a B for me. I think he's shooting 38%. Like, there's a decent
Decent
3-point.
clip, yeah.
But mainly his shots kind of are contested, like, or off the dribble. Like, they're not... He doesn't spot up all that much.
No.
And in a team where, it's offenses coming from everywhere. Like, he's having a pretty good year. Like, in terms of his numbers, I think his numbers are up just slightly. He's 6'5". He's mainly playing a lot of shooting guard and a lot of point guard. If you go down further to see the spread of what he's doing, mainly playing a shooting guard this season. But again, Doncic kind of changes that all, really, because he's playing a positionless ball handler. But if you look at his points per game this season, just going back up a little bit, so he's up a little bit. 13.4, and shooting wise, I think he's having. Come back to me. He's actually shot a better 3-point percentage really early on in his career, actually second year. But I think, I think he kind of fits this team as that over. Like, he's 32 and he's probably being phased out. But as a defender, he fits the mold of being that oversized shooting guard who can play a positionless spot as a guard, with Luka as the positionless sort of forward ball handler. And in a team that's trying to play conventional offense, which is weird. So what do we have him as?
I'm going to go B-.
B-. I think I'm happy with a B- as well. Dorian Finney-Smith?
C+.
C+. Is this his first year? No, third year. He's kind of just come out of the woodwork a little bit. I think he's improved a little bit as a player.
Just a little bit more minutes, a bit more freedom.
Again, it fits that positionless type player, positionless, power forward, small forward. But at the same time, sometimes you're playing up, sometimes you're playing down. Like, you're playing here, there, everywhere with Luka.
Kind of utility.
Pretty explosive. I enjoy watching him play. I think if he doesn't shoot the ball from three, then his game, like, you don't notice what he's doing in this team.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like, it's when he starts to take threes. He makes some and he doesn't make some. It's when he catches in the half court and then can dribble drive. But then you're kind of going, but Doncic needs to be doing that then.
Yeah.
Like, he's kind of everywhere. But hustle on defense, he's been pretty good defensively this year. What do we have him at? C+?
Yeah, C+.
Yeah, so JJ Barea now?
C+ as well. I think useful. 3-point percentage is a little bit low. Useful enough. Just a little bit undersized. Kind of that TJ McConnell style player.
I think I went with B+ because I think he's given them a bit of a spark off the bench. He's an instant offense kind of guy. He reminds me a lot of TJ actually, where he comes on and you always think, oh, he's going to score maybe 3 of 5 or 4 of 8, and then they're timely buckets. They're off the bench. They give them a bit of a spark and a lift. I think he's had a pretty good season this season. He is 34, so I don't think he's going to be around for that much longer. And now Jalen Brunson,
C+.
I'm going to go with B+. I think he's been really good off the bench, actually. I think he's shown that if he can have the attitude of I'm going to be off the bench, and take that Dennis Smith Jr. spot, he'll move into Dennis Smith Jr.'s spot when Dennis Smith Jr. leaves, but at the same time, he'll keep his spot on the bench in the bench rotation. Like, it's just their roster will eat a spot because Luka's going to move into that spot.
Look, for a rookie, not too bad. I just think a little bit undersized. Probably needs to, get his 3-point percentage up a little bit higher. If you're a guard, you want to get your free throw up a little bit more and take those opportunities when you can. But other than that,
off the dribble, but he's pretty dangerous off the dribble, and that's important coming off the bench. Providing that little bit of a spark. What did you have him at? C+?
Yeah, C+.
Who else we got for them? Maxi Kleber.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Maxi Kleber, actually. No.
Wow, I love Maxi Kleber.
You do, don't you? Not a big fan.
A for me.
A little, really?
Yeah, nah. Probably B.
Nah, C+. Look, he's a guy that gets... I just see he gets in the way a lot. Like, he's just always around, like, taking lanes without really doing anything. He's not got much of a post game.
You can shoot the ball, but...
You can shoot the ball, but his post game's kind of lacking. For a 6'11" forward, you'd like to see him develop his post game a little bit more. But that's just me.
You know who he reminds me of? Bogdanovic from the Pacers.
Yeah, just not really athletic. Just kind of...
Yeah, kind of an Inglesy type player. Yeah.
What a Joe Ingles quote was like, I may look not muscular, I may not be able to run, I may be slow, but hey, I'll still beat you one-on-one.
Yeah. He says as he's shooting like 34% this season.
Yeah, terrible. What a muppet.
Nah, I love it. We love Joe Ingles. Who else we got here? My mate who I was talking about before, Dwight Powell.
Dwight Powell, the most unfortunate-looking NBA player. Looks like he should belong in Men in Black.
He looks like Dermocon, that little like crazy-looking brown thing.
The fuck are you on
about? You've never seen that before? Oh, I'll show you off here.
All right. Look, I think he gives good efficiency for the minutes he's on. Can't shoot the 3-ball for shit. Shouldn't shoot the 3-ball. Decent center, decent backup DeAndre. Hustles hard, rebounds kind of well. Yeah, I mean, his points are up per game, playing the same minutes, so his efficiency's gone up. But yeah, just lacking in that 3-ball option, bit more blocks. Yeah, look, B-.
B-?
Yeah.
I think I had him B. I think what he offers, he's kind of an undersized center that anchors their small ball unit.
Yeah.
And it's like a risk reward type game. Like, it's a real roll of the dice gamble type thing. Like, some nights he gets scored on a lot, and some nights his hustle gives them a spark. You know what I mean? So it's not a stable part of their roster that they can call on and go, right, he's going to give us 15 solid minutes a night doing this. It's kind of like, it's still a volatile part of his game. Like, defensively, he can get exploited. Offensively, sometimes you just like, you don't want him taking that shot. What are you doing? Give the ball to someone else.
Yeah.
But, in terms of getting to the rim, like, he was finishing a lot of plays at the start of the season. Now he's kind of not really finishing oops and stuff like that. It's kind of, he's just disappeared a little bit defensively. But yeah, I had him at a B for me. I think that's about it. Is there anyone else honourable mentions in that sort of rest of their lineup?
Not really. They're all kind of just C+ players on their night C+. Have we done DeAndre Jordan?
Yes. At the start, we did.
At the start. Dirk.
I did that huge rant.
Dirk Nowitzki.
Yeah, he's shooting terribly.
Yeah, but he's just old. Like, he's
23% from
body's
three.
Terrible.
36% from the field. That's atrocious. He's old. It's kind of... man, if he wasn't such a mad baller, you would just be like,
please leave.
why are you here, Dirk?
Please leave.
Why are you here? But he's a mad
he's just
player.
mad player.
I love watching him, and I would never say a bad word about him.
No, but it's time to take those 7 minutes down to 3 minutes. Go out there, pump your arms in the air, and say, "I've been one of the best, Hall of Famer."
Well, it's really
take that free ball in garbage time, and then get off.
It's for me. It's like 4 minutes in garbage time or nothing. Really.
Yeah,
I think it's getting in the way. But if that's
just Mark Cuban, what he wants.
Well,
you know?
it's again. It looks like in a 3-year sequence, they can have this year as, we tried.
Yeah.
We tried and didn't quite make the playoffs, whatever. We've got Luka now, retool our roster, sweet. So, in a way, yeah, good on Dirk. He gets his year, gets his lap of honor, and I think he deserves it for sure. It's just hard to watch him, man. It really is hard to watch.
It was just hard to watch a guy who's really struggling.
I know, especially
with
running.
His body.
Running, man, he just looks like an old man. It's really brutal. But it's not a leading franchise that's, going to win things and go on to make the finals.
No, not at all.
If anyone wants to check out, go and find his playoff MVP. It's like a 40-minute compilation of his. Oh, it's fantastic to watch that, man. Just pure basketball.
Yeah.
I think it was in the first game he cooked someone off. I think Haslam off the dribble to pretty much tie the game, and then they ended up winning it. It was phenomenal, man. And he backed down and then shimmied and then went all the way to the hoop and scooped. And that was pretty much how they won that first game in Miami. I'm pretty sure it was the first game in Miami. But Dallas, final thoughts is...
not making the finals. So I think they'll be our first team that we do an official season wrap with.
Yeah, cross that
off the list. I think a lot of the Aussie teams, we're looking at Boston. I think probably... obviously, the Cavs is the other one that we'll be doing.
The Cavs is probably, the first one we're going to chalk off the list.
Cavs will chalk, but the Mavericks
They're probably about 10 or 15 games away from being chalked off the list.
Well, they could probably chalked off the list now. We'll just do a season wrap right now.
No, there's still more to come. Because with Deng and Dell's there, at least there's something to watch.
It's good to watch. Yeah, and Delhi's playing well for what he's doing, so we like it.
Yeah, but I think... There was a chance, really. They went, I think, 4, 5, or 6 in a row or something like that in the middle of the season where you kind of went, oh, sweet. Oh, no, they went, so what is it, 8-2, 9-2. Where you went, ooh, they might make this here. This is good. And then suddenly they just got slapped for about 6 in a row. And you went, it's back to the Mavs again.
Yeah.
But I'd like to see more minutes for Ryan Broekhoff, to be honest.
Please do.
I think that's about it.
We can wrap it up. All right, guys. Thank you for listening.
Yes.
We'll be back on Friday afternoon with a live stream. So if you listen to this, we'll be back Friday afternoon. We've got a shit ton of games to get through. Obviously,
a lot of games.
With Ben being away, we're going to back it up into a 2-part live stream for y'all.
Watching live games, watching games.
We're going to be watching games nonstop till then. Fun.
Yes.
Please like, share, and subscribe. You can find us on iTunes, SoundCloud, Podcast Addict, or your good podcasting app, Google Podcast. But subscribe to YouTube. That'll help us out a lot. We will see you very soon.
Take it easy, peeps.
Bye.